That's what it says.
I'd like to call the Manor City Council regular meeting, June 21st, 2022 to order. The invocation will be given by Mr. Freeman. Councilman Freeman.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Here.
Mr. Kirchner.
Here.
Mr. Krieger.
Excused.
Mr. Barn.
Here.
Mr. Blake.
Here.
Mr. Donovan.
Here.
Mrs. Dowling. Here.
Approval of minutes. Council, in your receipt of the June 27th, 2022 work session.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Barn.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling. Yes.
You're also in receipt of the June 7th, 2022 regular meeting.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Barn.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling. Yes.
Public hearings, we have none. Tabled legislation, we have none. New legislation. Ordinance number 22-0-044.
An ordinance to authorize transfers of funds, advances of funds, and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mrs. Lingenfelder, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak, members of council. The legislation that you have in front of you is a couple of annual transfers that we do from the TIF fund to the GO bond fund and to the street lighting fund, and then also a transfer from the court special projects funds to the GO bond retirement fund as well. We have one advance of funds to put funds into the Chillicothe Fairlawn storm sewer for the construction fees, and we have one appropriation revision, $75,000.
Council, what's
Move
your
to
pleasure?
suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Barn.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling. Yes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Barn.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling. Yes.
Ordinance number 22-0-044 is approved. Ordinance number 22-0-045.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to award a bid contract to Great Lakes Crushing Limited for the Menor Avenue Culvert Repair Project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flipiak?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Swigger, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. 3 bids were opened on May 20th for the Menor Avenue Culvert Repair Project in the vicinity of Claridge House Apartments. The existing sandstone culvert and twin corrugated metal pipes under Menor Avenue are in need of repair due to corrosion along the bottom of the metal pipes and several sandstone blocks on the north head wall deteriorating. The bottom of the twin metal culvert pipes under Menor Avenue will be field paved with concrete that will be approximately 3 inches thick reinforced concrete. Deficient sandstone blocks on the north head wall will be removed and replaced with concrete blocks. Tuck pointing and joint repair will also take place. Bids received for the project range from a low bid of approximately $239,000 to a high bid of approximately $273,000. The engineer's opinion of probable construction cost was $248,000. The project has been awarded a $108,000 grant and $50,000 loan from the Ohio Public Works Commission to cover up to 50% of project cost. The low bid was received from Great Lakes Crushing Ltd. of Willowick, Ohio, whose bid was found to be in conformance with all contract requirements. And it's recommended that we award a contract to Great Lakes Crushing in the amount of $239,270. Project completion date is specified for October 28th of this year. Thank you.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Move to suspend?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Barn.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling. Yes.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Barn.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling. Yes.
Ordinance number 22-0-045 is approved. Ordinance number 22-0-046.
An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an economic development grant with Insana LLC.
Mr. Flipiak, you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malichek, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Moving Solutions has, I really butchered that today. Going to be paying for that in the future.
Yes, you will.
Moving Solutions, moving on, has been in the city of Mentor for more than 44 years and has been recently purchased by one of their employees, Ed Insana. The company will continue to operate as Moving Solutions. They have retained 16 employees and they're anticipating adding an additional 14 employees by the end of 2024. They applied for an economic development grant to assist with costs associated with the purchase of trucks so they can expand their business and create those additional jobs. And we recommend an E-Date grant in the amount of $2,000 to Insana LLC.
Council, what's your pleasure? Move to suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 22-0-046 is approved. Ordinance number 22-0-047.
An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a Mentor Incentive Grant with Parker Hannafin Corporation.
Mr. President, I'm going to be recusing myself from this particular ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malachek, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak.
There you
Got it
go.
right that time. This is a Mentor Incentive Grant for the Parker Hannafin Corporation, one of our most valued companies here in the city of Mentor. Parker Aerospace Gas Turbine Fuel Systems, that division is headquartered here in Mentor. We recently had discussions with them, also with Team NEO, the representative for Jobs Ohio, and with the Lake Development Authority about an expansion they're going to be doing at their facility. They're going to require an additional investment in the facility of $8.5 million. And also some building and facility improvements of at least $1.5 million for a total project cost of $11 million. They are anticipating to add an additional 60 jobs to the facility. These are very obviously well-quality paying aerospace jobs for our community. Their current payroll is $13.5 million. They're expecting that to increase to $20 million by the end of the project completion date. We have suggested a tiered grant based on how the payroll is coming in over the next couple of years. 20% grant on new payroll in 2023, 40% in 2024, and 50% grant in the years 2024 through 2032.
Council, what's your pleasure? Move to suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 22-0-047 is approved.
We love expansion.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Ordinance number 22-0-048.
An ordinance authorizing pay differential to a city employee assigned to active military duty and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of our patrol officers, Eric Kupchak, has received orders to perform active duty with the United States Coast Guard. We're obviously proud of his service. This ordinance, like many we have done in the past, authorizes the city to provide pay differential in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and gives us the option to pay above that, which we elect to do for most of our employees. So I ask for your concurrence.
Move to Council. suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 22-0-048 is approved. Ordinance number 22-0-049.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to approve the fiscal year 2022 Community Development Block Grant budget, submit the fiscal year 2022 CDBG action plan, and enter into sub-recipient agreements to undertake the action plan and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as we do annually, council authorizes essentially a budget, a spending plan for our community development block grant. As an entitlement community, we do receive dollars every year based on a number of factors and a composite formula. This year, For the fiscal year '22 allocation, it is $158,867. Exhibit A indicates how we would like to spend that. You will see under the service activities, the public service activities listed here. Most of them are familiar to you. We generally give to the same groups here in Lake County that serve our residents most years. The only distinction from that this year would be an additional $5,000 to the Lake County Free Clinic, who is acquiring a new property, and we've agreed to honor their request for funds on that, a portion of their request for funds. In addition to that, 2 city projects are included in this year's budget. The ADA sidewalks, which are at $25,000, which is a component that we have included in most of the recent years, and that ties into our pedestrian safety program in the neighborhood, sidewalk improvements, and the Community Recreation Center with the installation of ADA accessible doors in the amount of $26,500. Council will also be approving the action plan, which will be you're authorizing us to submit the action plan for 2022 and enter an agreement with the sub-recipients who are listed below as well in Exhibit A.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Move to suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 22-0-049 is approved. Second readings, we have none. Third readings, we have none. Manager's report. Mr. Flipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, we do have one pavement open cut request from Tom Frank Enterprises Incorporated. It's for it's to repair a water fire line leak under the pavement at 6601 Hopkins Road.
Mr. President, quick question. What do we have for a time frame on restoration?
On this location and the one across the street, I believe by the end of this month was the goal. They'll be, once this is approved, they'll try to locate the location of the repair, make it, and then soon after, make the final repair for the pavement.
Thank you. Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Council, the Red Cross is holding a blood drive at the Mentor Civic Arena on Friday, June 24th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. All donors will receive a ticket to a Cedar Fair theme park of their choice while supplies last. Schedule an appointment online at redcrossblood.org and enter sponsor code Cedar Point or call them at 1-800-RED-CROSS. On Monday, June 27th, the Ohio Department of Transportation will begin construction of the Hendricks Road Bridge Deck replacement over State Route 2. Beginning June 27th, the bridge will be closed to traffic that will be detoured via Hopkins Road, Tyler Boulevard, and Heisley. It is anticipated the closure will last 147 days and reopen to traffic in late October. We did authorize some night work and demolition activities. It's a relatively insulated area from most residential, and that'll get the project moving along to be able to finish it on time, we believe. All asphalt streets in the 2022 road repair program have been paid, and work on the concrete streets continues. And Council in the Parks and Recreation Department, the Tunes at the Lagoons, this week presents Grunge DNA on Friday, June 24th from 7 to 9 p.m. The Wildwood Fine Arts and Wine Festival is this Saturday, June 25th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Wildwood Cultural Center. This outdoor event features gallery-style booths with vendors from every medium of fine art, fine craft, and specialty foods. And for more information, they can call 440-974-5735. And I think Mr. Kaminsky told me that they have as many as 80 vendors lined up for this. So it's going to continue, that event continues to grow every year. Very happy to announce that the Civic Center pool will return to regular operating hours of 1 to 8 p.m. beginning next Monday, June 27th. Again, we have more guards now that have been trained, so we're able to keep the pool open, full operating hours. Very excited that the 122nd Army Band Rock in the USA will perform on Wednesday, June 29th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at our Civic Amphitheater. There's free admission and parking, and the concert is part of the Mentor Cultural Arts Series and is sponsored by Remarkable Lake County, University Hospitals, and Mimi Vanderhaven. So we thank them for their support, both for this program as well as the whole Mentor Rock series. And we was able to attend the Army Band last year. Fantastic. So we hope that we get a good turnout this year. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Flippia.
Strongly recommended.
Clerk's correspondence.
Council is in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court month-end report of May 2022. And council is also in receipt of a Trex transfer of a liquor permit for the Everly LLC at 8200 Norton Parkway from Gita Raj LLC at 2140 Tremont Center, Upper Arlington, Ohio. This requires a majority vote of council accepting the Trex and giving me authority to sign and return the Trex form to the applicant so they can begin the transfer process. So I ask for a vote.
Council?
Move to approve. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
That's all.
Thank you. Commission committee reports. You're in receipt of the Board of Building and Zoning Appeals, May 10th, 2022. Tree Commission, May 11th, 2022. Municipal Planning Commission, May 26th, 2022. Old business, we have none. New business, we have none. Persons before council, we have none. Do I have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Meeting's adjourned.